Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live and we are blessed to have Carlo Garganese, Italian expert and proud Italian football fan right now, surely, Carlo.
Yeah, very proud, very proud. It's been a long time, you know. It's been 5 years since Italy have even been in a tournament, and it's been a really great start to the tournament for Italy.
Yeah, so what has changed really since the last time you didn't get into the last previous tournament? That must have been an absolute travesty for you guys, but you're back with an absolute vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give it to Roberto Mancini. He's done an amazing job. You know, he took over after the 2018 World Cup, didn't even qualify. Gianpiero Ventura, who was just a disaster, you know, dinosaur of a manager. And Mancini's come in, and he's completely changed the way of thinking in Italy. You know, we all know the stereotypes of Italian football: defensive, not the most, not the best on the eye. You know, not that attacking. Mancini's completely changed that. He's created a team from day one that he wanted to take the game to the opposition. Play good football, press high, try and score as many goals. When you go ahead, try and score a second goal, not, just hold on to your lead. And he's done an amazing job. He's developed the players, and now we're seeing an Italy team who, I'm not saying they're going to win the tournament. I think there's still a few teams better. Certainly there's teams with better, maybe individual players, but I think that as a team, Italy are as good as anyone playing as a team. And as an actual midfield, the actual central midfield, I think Italy's midfield is as good as anyone's. And we've seen that, in football, if you've got a midfield that can control the game, dominate possession, stop the other team from getting the ball, then you're halfway there. So, yeah, I think Italy they're going to have a good tournament, I think.
And all this without using Verratti and Chiesa already so far.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, Verratti is probably where he is. He's Italy's best midfielder, and he hasn't even played. And it's a good problem to have now. Do they bring Verratti in, or do they stick with the three, given there's a good balance there?
Yeah.
And as for Chiesa, yeah, I mean, Chiesa's been left out in favour of Berardi on the right wing. I think that later on in the tournament, Chiesa may come in against the better teams. I think he might be more suited against the stronger opposition who might come out more at Italy, whereas the first two teams have played a little bit deeper, and Berardi's a little bit better when he's having to break down opposition. Chiesa needs a little bit more space, and I think he'll get that space against the stronger teams who will actually try and attack Italy.
Yeah. Do you think this is a blueprint for Italy going forward, the way you're playing, where it's more expansive, a bit more less defensive?
I hope so, because I think that we've seen over the last 10 years in all football that playing counter-attacking football doesn't work anymore. Playing with a deep line doesn't work anymore. The best example of that, I think, is Jose Mourinho, who, one of the greatest managers of all time, probably the greatest manager of not the last decade, the decade before, from 2000 to 2010. We've seen in the last 5 years or so, Mourinho's type of football just doesn't work anymore at the top level. And I think Italy, historically, traditionally, their success has always been built on a strong defence, sprinkled with some world-class forwards, and they let the forwards do the business. Like a Roberto Baggio, for example, or a Totti or Del Piero, or what these kind of players that can make the difference. And then they've relied on their defence just being able to stop the opposition and counter-attack. That kind of football doesn't work anymore. I think modern football, the way that it's, I want to say evolved, but I would say it's also just the rules of football, the offside rule, the way that the pitches, the balls, just everything about modern football makes it so hard for defences nowadays to defend. The art of defending is dead. It almost doesn't matter. You could almost bring Baresi and Maldini from the past to this modern era, and it'd still be difficult to win with that kind of football. So I think Mancini's realised that, and that's why he's made Italy a positive team to take the game to the opposition. We saw that in the first 2 games, and I think we'll see that for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, it's one thing he's not really given the opposition an opportunity to get into the game. That's what's the most exciting. It's like they're on the front foot, they're trying to attack. When I was watching them against Turkey, because Turkey were my dark horses, but Italy kicked the life out of them. Like it was just in style as well, down the wing all the time. It was exciting to watch. So I can imagine you as a fan, it's something that you're looking forward to for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, because we don't usually see that from Italy teams. Even when if we look at the 2006 World Cup when Italy last won a tournament, I thought they played very good football. There was an outstanding team, probably 6 or 7 world-class players in the team. And even if you look at 2016 when Italy got to the quarterfinals with Conte, they overachieved really with quite a weak team. But that was done mainly through kind of counter-attacking football. That was so. This is kind of like the first time we've seen Italy really play this kind of football. More akin to Spain, really, in a way. Ferocious pressing, not letting the team out, like you said. It's good. It's refreshing to see because I like that. I like watching that kind of football. That's my kind of football. It's not to say that the other type of football is wrong. I've always loved I think that defending. I've loved the art of defending, and I'm very sad that defending is kind of dead in the modern game. But it is nice to see Italy play such attractive football, score as many goals. 6 goals. Italy had never scored more than 2 goals in a European Championship game, finals game ever in the history of this tournament. I know they've scored.
Madness. The way they play, like such good players, such good technique, like legends in attacking positions. It's surprising when I heard that.
Yeah, and now they've scored 3 and 2 twice. So yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see, and we'll see what the draw's like because it looks at the moment that they're probably going to miss. They're going to miss both Belgium and Holland, which were the 2 kind of big teams that they could have met in the second. They'll definitely miss Holland now that Holland are top of the group, and almost certainly they'll miss Belgium. It would need Finland to beat Belgium and then Italy to come second for Italy to meet Belgium. So we're looking at probably Ukraine or Austria in the second round, which for a last 16, I'm not saying it's an easy game, but for a last 16, you're taking that if you're any country. So you're looking at
You're being very diplomatic there. I like it. There's no easy games, and we won't take it for granted. But you've got to think if you get them 2 teams, that you got to win there. You've got to win there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think they're a big shout. They were my shout before the tournament, as you know, Kieran. They were the ones that I called to go and win it. I started watching them, quite a lot before the tournament, and the way they've progressed in the last 2 years, you can see it. It's a different Italy side, and just like how Carlo just said, they seem to be a change. Italy were always known for that, defensive, go sort of win 1-0, and that was it, shut up shop. But they're not that type of side anymore. We've been on an incredible unbeaten run. They're the team in form coming into the tournament, and that's why I said that they were my team to win it. Like I've already said, to me, they've got no weaknesses. It's probably very difficult for Carlo when when he's an Italian countryman to say that his team's going to win it. But when you're looking in from the outside, this is a very, very strong side, and through from defence to midfield to up front, there's not weaknesses. And like you've already said, we've still got Verratti and we've still got Chiesa to come in. I think they got big shouts for winning this. Definitely big shouts.
But there is an air of confidence amongst the Italian fans, though, isn't there, that they have a real chance of winning this?
Possibly. I think most Italians that I speak to believe that semi-final is definitely very doable. I think most Italians will expect them to get to the quarterfinal, especially now, like I said, with the draw. I think quarterfinal looks like it, very, very good chances. And once you get to the quarterfinal, you're 2 games away from the final. Looking at just the quarterfinal, it will probably be Belgium, I think. Now, I think Belgium are beatable. I don't think this is the same Belgian team as 3 years ago or even 5 years ago when Italy beat a Belgian team who were a better team than them, but they just played well on the day. You know, I think this team, with the exception of Lukaku, who's fantastic and he's moved on to another level. He's become a better player in the last 2 years, a much better player. He's, for me, probably top 3 strikers in the world, number 9 in the world now. Yeah. So with the exception of Lukaku and maybe Tielemans, who I'm a big fan of in centre midfield, I think all the other players are not past their best. I think De Bruyne is still an outstanding player, but I think he's not as good as he was 2 years ago. I think he's lost a little bit of pace, but we saw his goal last night, which was unbelievable. But we look at the other big names. I mean, if we look at Hazard, his ankle's done completely. Yeah. I know that from people close that his ankle's completely. He hasn't got the same movement in that ankle to be the player he was. Then you look at the defence. I'm not impressed by that defence at all. Vertonghen, old and past his best. Alderweireld, a little bit past his best. Denayer looks a disaster waiting to happen all the time. So, and also there just doesn't seem. I've just not been impressed by Belgium that much, but they've got the individuals to get them out of trouble, like they did against Denmark. So, I think they're beatable for Italy. I think if I'm looking at teams that, are strong. I mean, I think France are the favourites still for me because they've got the experience. We've got to remember when it gets to the latter stages, experience counts. Being there, doing it, having the players that have won in the big matches can handle the occasion. Also, Italy have been at home for the first 2 games in the group stage, so obviously it will be very different once you're playing in a neutral venue. Same for quite a lot of teams, like Holland, for example. I've been quite surprised by how decent they've been, but they've been at home as well. There's a total different dynamic once you're playing in a neutral venue. But I think apart from France, I think Italy definitely shouldn't fear anyone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you said it yourself. Individuals, that's a key word when it comes to Belgium. It's a team of individuals. On their day, if they can all link up together, they'd probably be unstoppable and they'd win everything. But they don't, and you can't have 11 individuals always link up. It doesn't happen. As you said, Lukaku is one of the top strikers in the world. Tielemans is on his way to becoming a world-class midfielder, probably in his next move after Leicester. But as you said, apart from that, the team, Torgan Hazard on the wing hasn't impressed me. The defence, as you said, Denayer's. I don't mind Denayer, but he's very erratic. He's very he lacks composure for my liking. And as you said, Vertonghen and Alderweireld are coming towards past their best. So it's a very good opportunity for Italy. And if not even in this tournament, it's preparing for the next tournament. You've got some younger players in there. Yes, you've got some of the older lot in there, but the next bunch will come through, and it seems like it's a good pathway for Italy coming forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to remember that the World Cup is not long away; it's next year. So this is and I think the delay, the 1 year delay, definitely helped Italy because, like you said, there's a lot of young players who a year ago wouldn't have been ready for this, but have got important experience. Like, for example, Nicola Barella in midfield, who Jorginho described as the N'Golo Kante of the Italian team, because he kind of carries out the same role for Italy that Kante does for Chelsea, doing all the running, pressing, protecting Jorginho, because we know he's not the quickest Jorginho. And he in this last year has got obviously a year of Champions League football, winning the title in the country, becoming a winner. The same with other players. Chiesa, had never played Champions League football, and he was probably Juventus' best player in the Champions League last year. So he's got that under his belt. Immobile as well, because I know Steve is a massive fan of him. He's somebody who I still have questions marks over him at the very top. We'll see if he can do it in the quarterfinals, semi-finals. But even him, he's had a year playing in the Champions League and playing well in the Champions League, scoring a lot of goals in the groups, and that's made him, I think, more ready for an occasion like this where the pressure is on. In the past, he's always kind of he's buckled a little bit under pressure, playing for his country when it really matters. You know, whereas now he's kind of he's gone through that kind of mental block, and so you know, we've seen he scored 2 goals in the first 2 games. Okay, missed a lot of chances. He needs to improve his finishing. You won't get that many chances in a quarterfinal or semi-final, but you know, taking the positives from it is definitely, it's definitely good.
Yeah, and another player that's done really well is Spinazzola, the old left-footed right back, and it seems to be a trend. What do you think the thinking of in that and Mancini's thinking in that is?
I'm a big fan of Spinazzola. I've always been a big fan of him. When he was at Juventus, I was furious when they got rid of him. They swapped him. They did a ridiculous kind of accountancy swap deal. One of these deals that you see sometimes in football where 2 clubs want to balance their books, so they swap players in order to make capital gains, basically. And they did that with a young player from Roma. And Spinazzola went to Roma. I've always been a big fan of Spinazzola. I think in terms of dribbling, in terms of taking on his man, he's elite. He's up there with anyone. I mean, you watch him and you'll have seen him in these last 2 games. Every time he takes on his man, I mean, he beats them every time. Whether he's going on the outside, on the inside, he's so quick. He's fantastic. The problem with Spinazzola were 2 things. One is defensively, he's not the strongest. He's better. He's been better in a 3-5-2, but because Italy play with such a high line and press so high up the pitch, he doesn't have to defend his final third. That's one of his kind of weaker areas. He has to defend his box or his like I said, his final third. The other thing has been injuries. He's been ridiculously injury prone his whole career, always getting injuries, and you know, stop start, and lots of muscle injuries, and you know, I think he had an ACL injury as well at one point, and you know, that's kind of stopped him as well. But in the last kind of year and a half, he's my co-host on the Italian football podcast, John Solano. He's a massive Rome fan, runs the biggest Roma fan, so he knows Spinazzola well, and he was telling me how Spinazzola went to the dentist and he had some work done to his teeth to correct his jaw, and he wears a mouth guard. I'm not sure if he's wearing it in this tournament, but he's been wearing a mouth guard as well, and that corrected something that ended up affecting him physically, and since then he's not been getting injured as much. It's like all connected. It's all connected. Your jaw. It's fascinating how your jaw is connected to your spine and injuries. Yeah.
I saw something years ago where I think it was Freddie Ljungberg kept on getting injuries, and they pulled out his wisdom teeth, and from that he got less injuries or something like that. I can't.
It's fascinating.
I've heard it before. I'm not going crazy.
Yeah. There was a player that Milan nearly bought, or Milan tried to buy from Lyon, the left back. Sissoko, I think. Sissoko, I think his name was. This is going back probably 9 or 10 years, and they actually didn't sign him because he failed his medical. And the reason why he failed his medical was because they found something wrong with his teeth, and they said that this would cause him to get lots of injuries, and they didn't sign him. They didn't sign him because of his teeth.
There's method to the madness.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Carlo, one player. I think we were talking about the midfield there and whether they'll change it or not. I think one player who they won't be changing will be Manuel Locatelli. I mean, in the last couple of years, I mean, this player has seemed to come from pretty much nowhere. Very young, age 23. I guess. You may be hoping that he may be playing for your club next season. How good is he? What does he do for the Italy side?
Yeah, I really like him. He's been great, hasn't he? I mean, he's really technical, creative. Passing is fantastic passing numbers. But line breaking passes, that's the key. You look at the passes he does; they always break that line. That first line of press, which gets Italy into dangerous areas. If you look at the second goal scored in the first game against Turkey, did a fantastic left-footed pass to Barella, which then opened it up for Immobile to score his goal. That was all down to Locatelli. If you rewatch that goal, his first goal against Switzerland, did a fantastic pass to Berardi, left-footed, first time, totally released him, then followed it up into the area and tapped it in. So yeah, he's a really, really great player. Doesn't lose the ball. He's really strong. He's not the quickest. He's a little bit on the slow side, but he's a bit like he's one of these players like Tony Kroos a little bit. He just doesn't give it away. You can't get it off. He's got such strong body strength, and you know, like the best midfielders today are the ones that are press resistant. He's very press resistant because he gets the ball and he'll just, you know, he can hold off a player. He'll make the pass. He won't lose it, and that's why all the biggest clubs want him. He's pretty much wanted by, well, obviously I'm hoping Juventus get him. Juventus tried to sign him last summer, and they didn't do the deal because Sassuolo, his club, didn't want to sell him. They wanted to keep him for another year. Sassuolo have told him he can go this summer. Sorry. Juventus have been in negotiations in and out for the best part of the year. They've been considered the favourites. Locatelli would like to sign for Juventus. Sassuolo have been asking for 40 million. Juventus have been lowballing them. I think 25. It was their last offer. They're lowballing it now. These are Italian clubs, man. They ain't got the money of the Premier League.
No, 30 million plus a player. The last thing I heard. But
yeah, well, we'll see if that. Yeah, but apparently they've. I don't know if that's true, but apparently they've upped their bid. The problem is he scored those 2 goals the other day and played excellent in the first game. So his value is going to go up, and I know that lots of Premier League teams want him. I know that. I know City. I know City want him. Arsenal are interested, and now it seems others are interested as well. I know Leonardo at PSG loves him. Ancelotti really likes him. There's pretty much all the top teams want this guy. So you know, if a bidding war breaks out, it's difficult to see Juventus getting him. The only hope I think for Juventus is if Juventus and Sassuolo as clubs have got a good relationship. They do a lot of business together. Whether Sassuolo would do Juventus a favour and say, look, you know, we'll let you have him, but you've got to help us out. Give us a player. Give us first options and some young players. You know, something like that. That's Juventus. For me, that's Juventus's best hope now because obviously financially they can't compete with Man City or Chelsea or PSG. So Juventus, I think, have made a mistake not closing this. Before the Euros.
Yeah. I mean, it's a steal, isn't it? I mean, 30 million, 40 million. 40 million is a steal for this guy. I'd stack their hands off.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who would be kicking themselves more? Is because he started at AC Milan, didn't he? Them or Juventus?
Yeah. I think both of them, yeah, because, I mean, he was a teenager at Milan and he scored a famous goal against Juventus. Brilliant goal when he was maybe 18, I think. Absolutely fantastic. And everybody went big on him. This guy is going to become a big thing. And then, you know, as happens sometimes with young players, it didn't happen for him after that. He struggled to kind of become a first team player, and you know, suddenly you've got everyone saying, you know, he's kind of like a failed wonder kid, you know, and writing him off, which was a mistake because he went to Sassuolo, and you know, he's had the chance to play week in, week out under a good manager, like your commenter just says there. Roberto De Zerbi was this manager at Sassuolo, and he's done a fantastic job in developing a lot of players actually at Sassuolo because he's developed Berardi as well, the right winger, who's somebody who
I was just about to bring him up.
Yeah,
really impressive him.
He wasn't fulfilling his potential. He was another player who was fantastic as a youngster. He burst through as an 18-year-old for Sassuolo, and then just kind of stagnated for years and years and years. The last 2 seasons, De Zerbi has developed him into, you know, I'm not going to say a top player. He's not a top player. He's not an elite player, but he's getting the best out of him, and he's got qualities. And Jeremy Boga as well, player that was at Chelsea, the best player of the Chelsea youth system when they had all these youngsters coming through. He was regarded as the best of the lot, Boga, but they never made it at Chelsea. Moved away, and then he went to Italy, went to Sassuolo. And De Zerbi, not so much this season. He had a little bit of a dip this season, Boga, but he's a fantastic player, and for me, he can play for a top team. You know, De Zerbi's done an amazing job. He's a top coach, and he's gone to Shakhtar Donetsk now, and I think he's got a big career ahead of him, De Zerbi.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely keeping an eye out for him. Are there any other players in the Italian squad where there's any sort of links to any teams? Anyone interested in some of these players?
Well, Berardi, like I just said, I think he's got interest in the Premier League. I think Tottenham have been looking at him, and I mean I think Tottenham probably need a right winger anyway. So I think that's one that definitely keep an eye on. Tottenham have got a Italian sporting director now, Fabio Paratici. So obviously he's going to look at the Italian market naturally. Although they need to find a manager first.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a second. See if you're here. I've got to ask you.
What a mess. Yeah. Berardi, I mean, elsewhere in the midfield, Locatelli, in the defence. Spinazzola's been linked to Real Madrid. He's been linked to Real Madrid. He's a kind of Real Madrid kind of player, actually. You can see him there. But Mourinho's just come in. We'll have to see whether Mourinho will be happy to let him go. Yeah, I think those are the main ones. Those are the main ones to keep an eye on.
I'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah. But is this finally the window where Ciro Immobile will be mentioned in it? Because he's never mentioned in any other ones. So
well, if he wins the Golden Boot, I mean, if he comes top scorer and does something, absolutely, why not? But I mean, he's 31 years old now.
That's true.
Having said that, though, one thing that I think has been very noticeable in this tournament, it was noticeable even before tournament started. I was looking at fantasy football strikers to sign. There isn't many top number 9s, not for the big nations anyway. A lot of countries don't have. There isn't. No. We're not blessed by lots of top number 9s in football at the moment. So even though Immobile is 31, why not? Why shouldn't somebody go for him? Most of the best strikers in the world are actually in their 30s now, with the exception of Haaland.
Kane, probably.
Haaland and Kane are probably the only two. Yeah.
Gattuso, I have to ask you about it. It's been the biggest. Tottenham tried to get Conte, that didn't happen. Fonseca, you can tell there's an Italian guy sorting this out up top for Tottenham. That didn't work out, and then they went to Gattuso. It looked like he was going to sign the contract, and then the fans went in an uproar. So, what was your take on it?
It's a
mess. It's a mess, isn't it? I mean, I think. Look, I understand the points being made. He said some stupid things in the past, to do with Kevin Prince Boateng. Although if you read the whole, it's stupid what he said, but if you read the whole statement, it's not as bad as some people are making out. The same with, he's made some comments about women shouldn't be in football. I mean, it's a stupid comment as well. And about marriage as well, gay marriage. I mean, he said some silly things, but we're going back 10, 15 years, and this is somebody that Gattuso is not the same person now he was then. I mean, I can tell you that because he really has grown as a person. He's somebody that always comes across as someone that's very honest, sincere, very respectful all the time to his own, all his players, to his opponents. So, I mean, is this the same Gattuso? Does he have the same views now that he had then? I mean, I would like to think no, but at the same time, I think that if we go out digging back what people said 10, 15 years ago when they're younger,
what they do all the time now,
which they do all the time. I mean, everybody's getting cancelled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think that, I mean, I don't want to go into like whataboutism, but people making a fuss over something that somebody said. Words hurt people. Don't get me wrong. But I'm always somebody that thinks that actions are more important than words. And I think that when we look at some of the other things that are going on in the Premier League, for example, I won't name them, there's Premier League owners that are basically human rights abusers. There's Premier League owners that are involved in, lots of things, bad things in other countries. That's actual actions that are actually people actually dying or suffering from these people's actions, and people don't say anything about it. And people probably know which two clubs I'm talking about, but and those are actual actions. Their actual actions are actually causing harm. These are words which, okay, they might cause hurt to some people, but again, you're going back 10, 15 years, and if you're doing that, you could dig out something that anyone says, and cancel them. And I think that's something that I think has gone a bit too far. You know, we can all try and be better people, but going back 10, 15 years when someone's a completely different person, or I'd like to think Katu's a completely different person. Yeah, I just think it's
ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it is ridiculous. Yeah,
it is ridiculous. They did it with they did it with a cricket player, didn't they? When he was 14 years old, and because he said something when he was 14, they banned him from being in the England squad when he's in his mid-20s. I mean, come on, it's.
It does get a bit silly. How far do you go back? People make mistakes. As long as they, as you said, actually speak louder than words and show some remorse or that they're sorry about it, then we can move on.
I mean, the people that I find, I've always found this, is the people that complain, or the most. They're always people behind the keyboard, just virtue signaling that actually have never ever done anything to help people. Never. You know, so people that talk about, you know, complain about racism, complain about sexism, complain about homophobia, that's great. It's all great standing for something. But tell me, what are you actually doing about it?
Yeah,
you know, everybody can talk and pretend that they're but what have you actually done? What are your actual actions? You know, so that's what I always think. I always think actions are much more important than words.
Well, one thing is that grinds my gears is that people happily put like one of the screen filters over their picture for a couple of weeks. Then once a new one comes along, it changes, and that thing gets forgotten about. And that's exactly the kind of generation we're in at the moment. So I completely agree. We could speak about this for ages, Carlo. It seems very passionate about it as well. One question from
just because I'm in the media, you guys probably know, but I find in the media these kind of people there's more of these kind of people in the media than any other profession. It's full of them. It's full of people that just virtue signal all the time without doing anything, any actions ever. I've encountered and worked with so many people.
I bet. I mean, some of them, that's their job. To literally pull things apart and say, and anything you say, they find an angle to that you're offending someone.
Always.
I completely agree. Last question. Where would you rank this Italian side amongst all Italian sides that you've seen?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's a bit. I think it's probably a little bit early to say because I mean, I know it's obvious, but we have to see where they finish the tournament before you can really say. Because at the end of the day, the results do count. You know, if Italy go out in the second round, then you know they're not going to be ranked very high. Even though, you know, I mean, I thought, for example, the 2002 World Cup team was a fantastic team that could have won the World Cup. You know, the quality they had in that squad, but they got knocked out in the second round. I know it's controversial, but you know, so I think definitely in terms of the way that they're playing and the personnel, it's probably the best. I would say it's definitely the best team Italy have had since Euro 2012. So let's say almost a decade. I think that's for sure. Yeah. But if we're talking about actually quality in the team, individual quality, the consistent, you know, how much quality they've got in all areas of the pitch, then, you know, I don't think you can compare it to any team from 2006 and before, really, up until, you know, going into the maybe up until 86. 86 was an old Italy squad, you know, carrying over from the 82 squad. But after 86, I mean, Italy have always had world-class talent in every single position up until 2006, I would say. Then, obviously, there was the decline. Italy declined after the 2006 World Cup. You know, we saw a slight, you know, renaissance at 2012 where they had a good tournament. Yeah. But apart from that, Italy have been on a downer, really, since 2006. So I would say, yeah, for the last 10 years, definitely this is the best Italy team, definitely.
I think totally agree. Before, it's the balance of the squad, which is the most important thing. And we've seen some of the best individual squads not get anywhere in tournaments, but balance the ones that are well balanced.
Yeah, look at Germany. I mean, look at this Germany team, for example. They've got more individual quality for me than Italy, but they don't look like a team, and they don't have the manager. They don't have a good manager. Well, he was a good manager. But he's not. You know, he's past his best. So, you know, that's a good example of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be the next one for Germany as well. Carlo, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
Brilliant
thank you.
Italian special. Definitely love to get you back on. With transfer seasons coming up, so we'll definitely be speaking to you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's do it again later in
mate.
the summer, in August or something. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right, sweet man.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. Cheers, Kieran. Cheers, Steve. Enjoy the football tonight. Good luck in the Scotland game.
We don't need it. Scotland do. I hope I'm not.
I'll speak to you later, mate.
Yeah, they smashed up all of London anyway. See you, man.
Yeah.
Cheers, Carlo.
All right, that was a quality interview there with Carlo. Make sure you go and follow his Twitter page. We'll put it on underneath the tweet on this one. Go and show him some love. Go and follow his Patreon podcast. It's top quality.
Italian football podcast. It's called.
Yeah, and of course,
plenty of rants.
We get the Italian transfer news very early, sometimes even first. So make sure you join us in the future. All right, you'll see the guys on tonight's Steve, Jerome, and Marie at 7:15 for the preview of the big match, England versus Scotland. Come on, England. Come on, Three Lions. I'm being biased. I do not care.
Do not care.
We've got to win. All right. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.